What is up, y'all? So I decided to do a sit down video instead of my normal vlogs that I like to do on my channel. I decided to just do a sit down video explaining, I guess giving you a little bit more detail as to why I decided to quit my job. If you're here, that means, well, more than likely if you're here, that means you just watched the video that I posted previously about my last week in my life that I quit my job, my last work week in my life video. So I didn't really go into detail in that video about why I made the decision to quit. And I was debating if I was going to do a separate video. As y'all saw in that video, I was contemplating on whether I actually wanted to do a separate video explaining why I left that job, just because it's over, it's a new year, we got a fresh start, we're no longer working there. But I decided to, just from going back and watching that video myself, I really did leave y'all in limbo. Y'all got a little bit of my frustration in one clip of that video, but you still didn't really know. So I just decided to do this video really quickly, make it really quick, and just get out the reasons why I decided to leave my job. So just some background, I have been in the nursing field since 2010. So prior to getting my master's, my family nurse practitioner license, I was a bedside registered nurse working in the ER for about 8 years, or about 6 years, before I went back to school to get my NP license. In those 6 years, I was in the ER the whole time, and I also traveled about 4, maybe 4.5 of those years as well. I made the decision to further my education. I didn't really want to go back to school for my master's. I gave myself 2 plans. It was either 1, become a flight nurse, because I always wanted to be a flight nurse at one point in my life, or 2, just go back to school and get my master's, because I knew eventually I would want to move away from the bedside. I knew I wouldn't want to be running around the ER for 20-30 years, and I also knew I didn't want to be in management. So I just decided to do the latter and go back to school and get my master's in Family Nurse Practitioner. So after graduation, which was in 2019, it took me approximately 6 months to find my first and only NP job. Getting your first job as an NP for me wasn't as easy as getting my first job as a nurse. I talked about this in my blog post, so shameless plug. If you're not following, head over to www.shellscorner.com and read the interview that I did with myself. I'll put the website here on the screen, so be sure to go over to that blog post to read my interview that I did with myself talking about that. But it took me 6 months ultimately to find a job. I knew what I didn't want to do as an NP. I knew I didn't want to work in family medicine. I knew I wanted to get out of the ER. I knew I didn't want to be an ER nurse practitioner or an urgent care nurse practitioner. But most importantly, I knew I didn't want to work in a family medicine clinic. So that took away a bulk of the jobs that I could have potentially maybe went after. After doing several interviews and hearing several no's, I finally received a yes from this particular job that I just quit. And to be honest, I was just relieved that I found a job. I always wanted to go into orthopedic, but I don't have an orthopedic background, or preventative care, but I don't have a preventative care background. And that weighs a lot when you're trying to find your first NP job, because most people want their NP to already come in with experience and not train. A lot of the jobs are like that, and especially since my background is all ER and it was never specialized, it was hard for me to land a job there. So the job that I did get, it wasn't that far removed from the orthopedic world, but it still wasn't what I really wanted. But I did take it, because it's you never know what you want until you actually do it. This could have been something great that I could have retired from, that's what you're thinking in hindsight. Of course it didn't happen that way, because I already know I quit, but that's what I was thinking in hindsight. So anyway, when I first took the job, it was a lot of, I won't say a lot, but there were a few red flags in the beginning that I saw. And just like I talked about in my blog post that I was telling y'all to refer to, a job is just like a relationship. You know, in a relationship, you're with this new person, you see these red flags, but you're like, oh no, I can change them or they'll change for me. That's kind of how the job world is. And even though I saw these red flags in the beginning, in my mind, it's like, it's just something minor, like it won't turn into anything big, and who knows, they're gonna love me and they'll change for me, right? Wrong. So first red flags for this job, one, I was their first full-time NP. They had other NPs prior to me, but they were just PRN. So I was gonna be their very first Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 full-time NP. Just me, just one person. Another red flag for me was, with this position, I had to travel to 4 different clinics. In the beginning, that seemed great, but I kind of knew in my mind over time that wasn't going to be very ideal, you know? But that was another red flag that I just brushed off. And 3, they were on a dictating system, meaning after you see a patient, you dictate it, you upload it, it goes out of the country to get transcribed, and then you receive the chart the next day to make your corrections and to sign it. So those were the 3 things in the beginning that I knew eventually will become bigger problems, but I was hoping that I'll be able to tweak it or change it, since now I was going to be their full-time NP and they would kind of do things to help better assist me, right? Okay, so I worked at the company for 2 years. Within the first year, even through the pandemic, business blossomed, y'all. Like, we grew so much, which is a beautiful thing. You know, like I said in my previous video, you want companies to grow. So it was a beautiful thing, honestly, to be a part of that, to be able to witness the growth of this company. So even though the owners could feel the growth with the amount of money coming in, I felt the growth like on my back, and it became very difficult, y'all. Like, one, I already didn't like what I was doing, and 2, to see that growth and to have no help was just a lot. Within a year of me working there, my work-life balance was non-existent. Like, I go to work, I typically go to the gym 4 days out of the week after work, or hang out with friends, or just want to chill and relax. And I wasn't able to do that anymore because the charts began to pile up. I would be like 200 charts in the hole. Like, I have not signed 200 charts. Y'all, I quit my job and I'm still signing charts to this day, and I am no longer employed there. That's how bagged up you get with the whole dictating system, and especially with seeing almost double the amount of patients that I was seeing the year prior, and it's just me with no help. I get help. I used to get help 1 day a week, and then that was taken away. So it was just a lot, and I just became so unhappy, y'all. Like, probably the most unhappy I have ever been. My mental was done. It was to the point where on the weekends I wouldn't even go anywhere or do anything, just because it's like I need to catch up on charts, or like I just didn't feel like even leaving my house because I was just so unhappy with my job. You know, like, that's so crazy. Like, I was so unhappy, y'all, with a job, you know? And I would make these complaints. Like, I tried to talk to them about maybe getting a charting system to make things easier for me, you know, or hiring a new MP. Like, instead of hiring another MP to help me out, they would hire more MAs, or more medical assistants, if you guys don't know what that is. And who cares if I have 4 medical assistants at one facility? So each medical assistant can bed a patient, but it's still me seeing these patients. Like, I would go to lunch an hour late. Like, I would have to literally stop clinic sometimes just so I can have a lunch, you know? Or I would be leaving late, and it's okay to do those things sometimes, but doing those things repeatedly, it takes an effect on a person. Like, I'm canceling my plans after work because I can't get out of work on time all the time is crazy. And I would even get phone calls like, hey Shelby, like, I know you don't come in till 9, but we got this patient who we really need to see, and they can't, the only time they can come is 8:30. Like, can you come? Like, what? Or, Shelby, I know you got off at 5:30, but we got this patient who can't come in till 6. Can you stay late and see them? Like, what? I wish I could ring up my doctor and say, hey, I know your schedule is from 9 to 5, but I'm busy. Or the only time I can come there is 6:30. You gonna stay late for me? Yay or nay? Like, you can't do that in the real world. And in this world that I was working in, that's almost what's expected of you. When I need you to do these things, you need to be here and do it, you know? And I'm the type of person, I'll appease you once, but you're not going to take advantage of me. I'll give you an example. One time I agreed to come in early for a patient that had to be there at 8:30. They couldn't come no other time. So I get up earlier, I leave my house earlier, I get to work earlier, just for them to say, oh, the patient rescheduled. How inconvenient is that for me? I shouldn't have even been put in that situation that I had to come here early for a patient, and then the patient rescheduled, and it's just like, oh, the patient rescheduled, don't worry about it. What? But because I said yes that one time, I started getting more phone calls like that. Now, out of the whole 2 years I was there, y'all, I probably got maybe 3 of those phone calls, but that's still 3 too many when we're open from 9 to 5, period. You know, I shouldn't get any of those phone calls. So it was a lot of things that led me to my final decision of leaving, you know. Like I said in the previous video, I had to pray about it. Like, I just had to give it to God because I was so beat down, y'all. I was so beat down. And it was to the point where I was just making complaints. I'll get a piece for a little bit and then everything would go back to how it was. The patient load was ridiculous. Me signing all these charts at home, ridiculous. It's Thanksgiving. Like, I'm trying to record footage for YouTube on Thanksgiving, but I'm still sitting at the table signing charts. Every single night when I would leave work, I would call my mom and complain about work. For 2 years, I did that, y'all. Every single time I went to the gym, like my trainer, the people who I worked out with, they all can tell you stories about my job, and not like good stories. Like, it was all complaints, like all complaints. And it was to the point where it's like, I can't take it anymore. Like, I just cannot take it anymore. So there isn't like one thing that broke the camel's back or one straw that broke the camel's back. It was a lot of things that happened, or like all the things I just named, and nobody cared, or I won't say they didn't care, because I can't really speak on somebody else's feelings, but from the actions, I'm an actions person. I need you to show me that you care. And from the actions that I was receiving, nobody cared. You know what I'm saying? And I was just declining, like mentally, I was like declining. So I gave it to God, y'all. And I kept putting it off, like, no, I'm just gonna keep looking for a job. Like, I was looking for jobs throughout all this time, you know, like, no, I'm gonna keep looking for jobs. Nobody was calling me back, y'all. And I'm just like, is this the Lord telling me to just stay still? Like, nobody's calling you back for a reason, because maybe the Lord wants you to stay. But I'm just declining as this time is passing. Like, I'm just declining. So it was one day in October, y'all. I think it was a rough day. It was a Thursday. I remember it being a Thursday. I remember it being really busy. I think on that day, I know on that day, on that particular day, I went to lunch late because it was too many patients. You just can't keep up. Like, you're always like an hour behind schedule, you know? So I went to lunch late and I end up leaving work late, okay? I cried from the time I pulled out of that parking lot all the way till I got to my garage at home. And it was on that day I knew I was done. So that happened on a Thursday. By the following Thursday, I gave a 2-month notice. And I know y'all are probably thinking, like, 2 months? Like, who give a 2-month notice? But remember, I'm the only full-time nurse practitioner. So if I just would have been like, deuces, I'm not coming back tomorrow, what was gonna happen? They were gonna have to close their doors so they don't have another MP. Like, I know that's not my problem, because that's not how I had this set up. But I still didn't want to do that. I still didn't want to be that person, because that's not the type of person that I am. So I gave them a 2-month notice so that they could find another MP, you know? And it's so crazy because, like, I remember the conversation when I was telling them that I wasn't coming back and just telling them how I wasn't happy. And one of the things that was said was, we'll give you more money because money makes you happy. And that did not entice me. It was in that moment, like, God, you right on time, because I knew when I turned down more money, like the money you're trying to give me didn't entice me. I knew it was time for me to go, because at that point, y'all, it was no longer about the money. It was no longer about those paychecks, but it was about me putting myself first and me removing myself from a work environment that I was not happy in, a work environment that I didn't even want to be in. I didn't even like what I did, y'all. I was just doing it because this is what we pray for. Like, we went to school for this, we prayed for this, we finally got a job, we're here, we just need to shut up and work this job. You know, that's how I was feeling. But I didn't even like what I was doing. And even if those changes would have been made, like lowering the patient load or getting me a real charting system or keeping the patient load, like, we can book 50 people, we can book 60 people, but bring in another nurse practitioner to help me, even if those things would have been would have been done for me, I still wouldn't have liked what I was doing, but it probably would have made working there a little bit easier because that still would have lightened my workload. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that none of that happened, and now I'm telling you I'm leaving, and the first thing is, well, we'll give you some more money because money will make you happy. I knew it was time for me to go. So long story short, y'all, I quit my job. And what's next? I have no idea. Like, I have no idea what's next. One good thing about having a nursing degree, you can do anything you want with that nursing degree. So I haven't given up on finding a nurse practitioner job. Like, I would still love to use my degree because I worked hard for it, and I still would like to use my degree as a nurse practitioner. But I have a few non-negotiables now when it comes to these jobs, and I just need to find something that's going to work for me, or just something that I'll be happy with. And I know feelings are very fickle. Like, you can't judge your life off of feelings, but life's too short for me to be unhappy at a job. Like, waking up every day dreading to go, like, life is too short for that, you know? And I just chose me. So today is January the 6th. I have not been to work since I quit my job on the 30th, and I don't know what's next. When this video posts, I probably still won't know what's next. But one thing I can honestly say is that on today, January 6th at 6:04 p.m., I am still very happy with the decision that I made, because it was a decision that I made for me. It wasn't a decision that I got advice on from anybody other than the Lord. That's all who I needed, because nobody else could give me the appropriate advice that I needed to make this huge decision. Like, y'all, you know how unhappy I was if I quit my job and I don't even have a job to go to today. Like, what the heck? You know what I'm saying? You know I was unhappy because bills still got to get paid, y'all. Like, I'm still trying to live my same lifestyle, and I don't have any income coming in right now, you know, but we're gonna be okay. I trusted in the Lord for this decision. I'm gonna trust in the Lord for the next decisions, and in every other decision that is gonna be made after this. So it's back to the drawing board for me. Again, I just wanted to come in and give y'all a little bit more insight on what made me decide to leave my job. I'm not angry with anybody. Hopefully nobody's angry with me. If they are, I mean, I don't care, but I'm not angry with anybody. No bad will towards anybody. I pray that their business continue to grow, but I hope that all the complaints that I made and me actually leaving and them actually seeing that it don't have nothing to do with the money, it changes their mindset moving forward, so the nurse practitioner after me doesn't have to go through the same thing that I went through. But that's it, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I don't want to discourage anybody from pursuing a nurse practitioner degree. I will give some advice though. One, if you do decide to get your nurse practitioner degree, know what you want to do. Know what you want to do, because I didn't, or I did know what I wanted to do, but I didn't realize what I really wanted to specialize in until I was like in my last year of nurse practitioner school, and I would have had to completely stop nurse practitioner school and go a different route. So know what you want to do. If you know you want to be a family nurse practitioner and work in family medicine, great, go ahead and go to school. If you know you want to work in women's health as a nurse practitioner, great, go back to school. If you know you want to work in an ER or urgent care and use your nurse practitioner degree in that way, great, go back to school. If you're undecided, you don't know which realm you want to take with that nurse practitioner degree, I would say wait. Figure out what it is you want to use your nurse practitioner degree for, and then go back to school. Like I said, I still would like to use my nurse practitioner degree and move towards the things that I still think I would love, which is orthopedic or preventative care, like cancer prevention and screenings and stuff like that. Y'all, I really love preventative care, and I also really love orthopedic. So two different things, right? But still, see, that's my issue. This is the issue I'm talking about. Know what you want to do before you get this master's degree and become a nurse practitioner. But that would be my advice for anyone that wants to do it. I mean, do it. Education is great, and nobody can take your education away from you. So go back to school. I'm all here for going back to school if you know what you want to do, okay? And then my takeaway for me, the lesson that I learned for me is, like I said before, life is too short for me to be walking around here unhappy in anything I do in my life, in any area of my life, and that goes for my job as well. Thanks for watching, y'all.